Greetings, fellow skybound survivors. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of a new series covering Aloft. If you would like to skip the game's overview or the setup of this series, please use YouTube chapters. For those that don't know, Aloft is a co-op sandbox survival game set in a world of floating islands. Build any island into a skyship and make it your home in the clouds. Find lost knowledge, cure the fungal corruption, and brave the hurricane to restore the ecosystem. This stream/series will be a mix of Let's Play and tutorial. It has this pretty similar feel to like Raft that I played a while back, but also other games like Forever Skies, etc. And it's pretty chill, relaxing, full of adventure. And for this specific series though, I'll be playing single player, so not co-op, on default settings with no custom islands. And the goal of the series is just to showcase the game mechanics and teach you all how to play. So let's get started. Here's my character, but you can create new characters if you want. And I'll show you the character selection here. So you've got skin colors, body shapes, heads, eyes, hair color, facial hair color, etc. But I've already made mine, so this is me. And new game. For new games, we'll call this Stream. Fancy that. There is creative mode and peaceful mode if you don't want combat or you don't want cost for building, of course, and the custom islands if you want to design your own island and then import it. So that instead of having to find an island to make into your skyship, you can just like custom it in. But I'm not doing that, so let's start. Jumping right into it. Okay, gather basic resources. Gather wood and stone, 10 of each. So stone's gonna look like this. There's 3 of it. Wood is going to look like this. And we just need 10 of each, and it's tracking in the top left. WSD for controls, obviously. Tab is your inventory. And you can equip yourself. F4 is third person or first person mode. So if you wanted to see me and my undies. But I'm primarily going to play in first person mode unless I am flying around. Okay, craft and equip a hammer. Craft a hammer through the crafting menu, Charlie or C, and equip the hammer through the inventory, I or tab. So the game has an interesting crafting system. I've seen it similar, where resources that are in yellow are resources that can make something. And what you can do is mix those two, and you can either hit craft or learn only. So if you hit learn only, it will unlock the pattern, which is stone plus wood equals stone hammer. Or I can hit craft, and it will actually make a stone hammer. And then in this case, 2 stones combined together makes a sharp stone. And I can craft a sharp stone. And then a sharp stone and wood equals a stone axe. So on and so forth. Pretty straightforward, rather elegant, I'd like to think. And now I want to equip my hammer in my inventory. If you hit mouse 1 through 8, it will bind it to your hotbar. So I'm going to put the hammer as 8, and here's my hotbars. 1 through 7 are still empty, and 8 is the only one with a hammer. You can also automatically equip your hammer whenever you hit B, as in Bravo, to go into the build menu. So you don't actually need to necessarily bind your hammer, because anytime you go into the build menu, you'll pull it up into your hands, which is very convenient. You don't have to go sorting around for it. Reach the knowledge stone and interact with the knowledge stone. So a significant portion of, and I feel like the game's a little bit too loud, a significant portion of the game's blueprints are obtained through exploration to find anchors and knowledge stones. So we are going to happen upon our first knowledge stone, which is over here. In order to get there, I need to build a bridge. So I'm going to hit B, as in Bravo, open up the wooden floor, and it will snap automatically. Now, in this case, there's multiple types of bridges. So for this bridge specifically, I can start hammering it to actually construct it, but it is load-bearing as it is now. And then, if you see this plus icon, that also means there's other types of bridges. So that there's other styles that you can unlock. But there we go. We have our very simple bridge. And this is a knowledge stone. Now, one thing you'll notice is that there's like this lens flare thing. It allows you to, once you're sort of near it, it will display the fact that there's like something for you to interact. And it also makes an auditory cue for you, so that if it's behind a wall or in a cave or something like that, you'll kind of hear it when you're close to it. All right, new discovery, a workbench. And Shuss, Kellyan, Krusty Rano, Radlocker, thank you for the gifted subs and the bits and everything. Cheers. So it wants me to build a workbench. So we hit B, and there's this favorite tabs, the building tab, and then this is the home tab. And a workbench can be placed. If you hit R, it will change the stat mode. So you can rotate it. You can have it snap or not snap. And there we go. There's our little workbench. And then it wants me to craft 2 sharp stones. So I can craft them on my inventory or at the workbench. And in this instance, because I already know the pattern for sharp stones, I can just click the pattern and hit craft. Also, if you hold down the button, you'll start crafting faster and faster and faster. So if you're doing bulk crafting, you don't have to click it one at a time. So now I have a bunch of sharp stones. And it wants me to craft a pickaxe. So a pickaxe is, if we go into the workbench, stone, wood, sharp, stone. Learning it is a stone pickaxe, so we'll craft one. And we'll craft a stone axe too. And then 3 leaves combined together is a leaf cloth. So we'll craft one of those as well. Alright, that's a whole lot of crafting so far. So the axe I'm going to put on 3, the pickaxe on 2. And we can reorder these so that they're like roughly, vaguely in the order that they would be. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then clothing, if you want to be organized. And to get out of here, we have to destroy the stones to exit the cave. Now this is another feature I really like of the game. When you interact, if you click within the yellow, as you can see on the bar, right near my cursor, you work towards like a combo to trigger an area of an effect harvest. And that is true for most of the tools, which is really convenient because it's an engaging way to like mine faster and more efficiently, which a lot of games don't get right. So I appreciate that here. So it just wants me to exit the cave. And here we are. It is very pretty. Gathering some blueberries. If you click left control, you take everything that is inside a basket for quick loot. And in this case, we have a whole lot of new things. So I have windstones, which is a useful building material, and mushrooms, which is a useful ecological material. And I've also got this sketchbook, which I am going to put on 6. What a sketchbook does is when you have paper and charcoal, and you look at any building, it allows you to copy the pattern. So there are only certain things that you can copy, but like those walls up there, I could copy. It can't, so there's like 3 different sort of classes of things. There's like natural things like trees. You're not going to be able to build trees. And then there's this story material is what I'm going to call it. Like these lamps and floors, which are always kind of this white marble or brass looking thing, or copper or whatever. And you can't copy those either, but you will be able to copy like stairways and railings and everything. And then if it's grayed out like this, it means I already know it. So that wooden floor pattern, I already know how to make. But I don't have any wood or charcoal on me at the moment, so obviously I can't start copying things. But basically, if you see it, you can copy it, which is really nice. And here's another knowledge stone. And home kite. The home kite allows you to claim an island as your own, to teleport onto it, and to start owning it and flying it around. But the tutorial wants me to leave the nest, basically reach the top of the mountain. Not all islands you can pilot. Some islands are just simply too massive. And I'll get into like what makes a good island to be your sky ship later on. These are salt nodes. And you can see the combo system with the pick happening. And we're going up, up, up. There is a dodge system. So if you hold a directional key and hit space, you dodge left, right, and backwards, which is really convenient for me because that is more or less the same system as Warhammer Darktide that I play a lot of. So very familiar for me. And there are like weapon combos and attack combos and everything. There's a lot of like elegant game mechanics, if you will. And this thing here is sort of like a knowledge stone, but more significant. So these frescoes unlock sort of blueprints that advance the story, I guess. Whereas the knowledge stones and the anchors will unlock other things. Knowledge stones will typically unlock like workbenches and the like, and anchors might unlock building patterns and things like that. Is there toolware? Sort of. I'll get into that in a little bit. And this taught us glider stand. Using leaves, craft cloth at the workbench, build a glider stand with B, craft a glider, and equip the glider in your inventory from the glider stand. So there's a bunch of different ways to get leaves, but one way is just to cut down trees. The trunks aren't going to give you leaves, but the branches will. So now I have 10 leaves, and I also have an oak seed if I wanted to replant the tree. Alright, so here's a workbench. And we want to... Oh, here's a new pattern. A leaf bandage. We want to make more leaf cloth. There we go. I have 5 of them. And then we build a glider stand. And with the glider stand, we can design a glider, which will allow us to travel from island to island. I don't really have color choices. Later on, you get clothing dyes and the like. But let's give this a... I kind of like that pattern. And craft. So here's our glider. And now, we can equip the glider and glide through the air. So when you jump, you deploy your glider with space and use W and S to gain or dive for altitude. And that can be inverted if you want. Also, these things were made of like 5 wood apiece. Wood is really cheap, so I'm just going to leave them here. I don't really care to recoup the cost. And now we're flying. Now it wants us to find lost sailing knowledge and examine the second fresco. So the boost system that's right above my head, if you left click, you will speed up, and then sometimes you can chain the boosts together if there's a white bar available. Not all the time can you chain them together. There is no fall damage, and if you're wondering, if you fall all the way down like this, you'll eventually just respawn at your nearest bed. So there is death in this game, but not from like falling. And you can just fly around. The game gives you a lot of flexibility for movement, which is great. And I am going to stop for a second and collect windstones. Music's kind of loud? Yes, it did get loud. Kind of crescendoed once I took flight. So let's go to the other islands. The islands are procedurally generated, as is the world map. We will open it up soon once I unlock the blueprints for it. And the islands that we are looking for are going to be... I like smaller islands. And I also like islands that have water on them. Because water is a resource used for like farming and crafting. It's really nice to have access to. So, this gave us the wooden wall blueprint. And some of these islands have like other things other than the knowledge stones. They'll have use resources unique to them, or rare resources or whatever. But for now, I'm just trying to do the Forgotten Legacy quest line. Jumping from island to island. So this is charcoal. It's a burned up tree. Very useful to collect because you can purify dirty water with charcoal to make it clean water, which is a tool and attack speed boost, which is really easy to acquire, giving you quite the edge when it comes to combat. So here is another island, which likely this is the one with the fresco. It's large and it has a bunch of story things on it. Bugs. Definitely collect them. A core mechanic of this game is that some of the islands that you travel to have ruined ecospheres or biology, and it will need you to plant trees, plant crops, maybe transplant bugs or animals in order to repair the ecosystem, which will then unlock whatever is locked on the island, which often is like chests or knowledge or resources or whatever. So collecting bugs is actually very useful to that end. There's probably nothing underneath this. There's also like a lot of hidden little things in this game, which you can discover just by chance, interacting with the world. So if something looks out of place, maybe it is, and maybe you should poke around and dig around and see if there's resources hidden. So this is an anchor, one of the other types of ways to gain knowledge. And this gave me the knowledge of rudders, allowing you to steer a ship. Awesome. Let's see what else we've got. Here's a sleeping bag. And you can pass the time. So if it's really stormy weather or something like that, and it's like too dangerous to be out and about, you can advance time so that it's not stormy. And let's seek out more anchors and frescoes and knowledge stones and all that good stuff. Now, all the little resources you can collect here, early game, there's not a lot of resources that are like rare that I would say is worth significantly going out of your way for. So you don't really need to worry about grabbing everything that you see on the ground. It's relatively unnecessary, just in my opinion. And if I see a resource that is rare, I will mention it, point it out, and let you know. Now, ropes. Ropes are something that you really cannot have enough of. So very handy to gather and collect ropes when you see them. I did just get a new tool. This is a leaf bucket that I'll put on 7, which allows you to like water crops and the like. Can you increase the size of your inventory? No, but it does stack up pretty high. All right, I do hear... Oh, yeah, there's an anchor right down there. And this is leaf floater. So the rudder allows you to steer. The floater allows you to gain or lose altitude. Sort of like the blower of a hot air balloon. And that is knowledge number 2 of 4. What is the game in explanation of how the glider is enough to fly with? I mean, it's a fantasy game, so it just works. I don't mean to be glib, but like the islands are floating, so I think the fact that a glider lifts me up is like the least of my worries. You've got mega islands that are floating too. So this here is a fresco door. And this is a lost key. They aren't a 1-to-1 ratio. You can find a lot more lost keys than fresco doors. But the second fresco is going to be in there. I'm going to leave the second fresco on purpose until I have the other lost knowledge collected, I think. So another way I like to go about this is just slow float around the island to see what I can find in terms of resources. It's easier to check it from the sky for anchors. It will often make noise and give you this sort of lens flare glinting, letting you know you're getting close. But if I do a quick pass, and it's also useful to note that often the stuff will be in caves, so it might not be... You might have to explore caves to find what you're looking for. Now let's just go in now. And I'll look for the other anchors later. So, there's the fresco. And I don't believe there's much else in here. Now I did end up getting a paper or two. I have 1 paper, so I can learn like a blueprint. So if there's a specific item that I see that I think is important to have, I'll grab. Grey Hermit, thank you for the resub. And Biz Sphinx, too. Learning Helm, allowing you to steer an island. So we can also check the other islands around. The anchors that I'm looking for may not be on this island, and I shouldn't assume that. Also, I now just picked up a second sketchbook and a third, and I don't need 3, so we can recycle these old ones, getting charcoal and paper back. So if you have multiple tools, you don't need to keep them. You can just recycle them. And you do that by holding R. The islands in here are procedurally generated, so they are pseudo-random. Oh, this island here might not be a bad one to settle on. It's relatively small. Ooh, we have a sword. Nice. Binding that to 1. And a new type of beetle. Perfect. So I like islands that are relatively small, flat, lightweight, and have water. And this fulfills most of those requirements. Plus it has a waterfall. But it does not have anchors. Let's go over to this island that looks a little different. This island is corrupted. And in landing here, I get the Seeds of Corruption. Find the source of the corruption. Before I do that, I'm going to eat 2 blueberries and drink water. Eating blueberries boosts my health for 3 minutes, and drinking water increases my attack speed. And as you can see, I can't pick up beetles or do anything with this island until I clean it. So all of the resources that I see here, I can't pick up. And the corruption looks like this. This is the corruption. And we're destroying the tendrils and then attacking the core. And then it will be defended by these monsters. And you can block, push, and then do combos. And there are special attacks that you end up unlocking later. The combat kind of reminds me of, like, Breath of the Wild, maybe a little bit. And once, some islands will have multiple corruption cores. This island did not. So as you can see, the moment I kill that thing, it cleans. And now, any resources in here I can obtain. I also just got fungicide, which is a useful poison to help harm the enemies. Now, here is a pattern that I would really like to have, which is a wood chest. So I'm going to use my charcoal and paper to learn that. For most of the building stuff, I'm not going to bother until I have an abundance of charcoal and paper. But like a wooden chest, as you can imagine, is pretty dang useful. And there is indeed an anchor up here. So now that we've killed the core of the corruption, we can learn this sailing knowledge. Table map. Fantastic. So now we can know where we're actually headed, which is honestly very important. And there should be one more island, and I'm not sure. I wasn't really doing these in sequence, so I'm not sure which one the last anchor is on. But let's poke about until we find it. Have I gone there before? Hey, Zagir, thank you for the resub. Oh, is this the Fresco Island? Yes. Did I come all the way up here? This little lighthouse? I did, didn't I? Yeah. Oh, there was paper there, though. Yoink! It's way easier to get charcoal than paper. Making paper in this game is a bit of a pain, so finding it is advisable. Now later on, there's a once you have the map table, and maybe I'll what's the cost of the map table? Yeah, I'll make a map table really quick because I can destroy it. So one easy way to figure out where you've been and where you need to go is to build a map table, and then you can right-click on the islands that are around you to highlight them with this green beacon of light so that you don't have to continually go back to the same islands over and over and over again. You can go to novel ones. And the map table is color-coded, where like the darker green-gray is islands you've never been to, the green ones you've been to and are cleared, and the yellow ones are you've been to and are corrupted. So this is a really good example of an island that is ecologically damaged, I think. No, maybe I'm wrong. I don't have the right tools to figure that out for sure. But it should tell me on my map table. It will be yellow if it's... No, it's healed. And let's just keep doing this, hopping island to island, going to new islands until we get that last sailing knowledge. So the new green beacon is right over here. Cheers. You can also find updrafts. So this is a case in an updraft where it's just going to kind of send me upwards. It's not harmful or anything. And the map table is really nice because if there's something useful, if the island has like something unique or whatever, it will highlight. So if it has a knowledge stone or fresco or anchor, you'll know it just by setting foot on it. But that's not to say that it's not worth exploring. So for instance, this is obviously a new resource that I've not yet found, windstone crystals, which are really handy in making like bridges, I guess, floating bridges. And I'm going to want a whole bunch of them in order to, for floating bridges for later on. I kind of want to dig up here, but I don't have the right tool for it. I'm curious, actually. Can I unlock the tool? Let's see. I'm going to combine some things to see what I can learn to do. So a spyglass. Spyglasses are also another way to mark down new islands. So I'm actually going to craft a spyglass and put that as my new 7. So I can show you. So if I take a look at the spyglass, I can tell this island, for instance, is corrupted. It has ecological unbalance. So the symbols left to right is like, I've never been there, it's corrupted, it has imbalance, and it's too heavy to ever sail. That one is corrupted. This one is too heavy to sail. That one I've never been to, hence the question mark. And then these, like, too heavy to sail, and then the other ones I've been to, because they don't have the question mark. So if you don't want to drop a map table everywhere you go, you can always spyglass. That's pretty handy, too. Leaf bucket. So I'm just going to spend a minute, here, let's craft a bandage. Spend a minute just learning patterns. Clean water. Sketchbook. Torch. Field guide. I want a field guide. So let's make 2 leaf cloth. And then go to field guide and make a field guide. So the field guide is a really important tool. I'm going to put this on 6. And what this thing allows you to do is to check the status of the island. So this island is in balance. It has a healthy ecosystem because it has at least 16 trees, at least 3 floral diversity, at least 0 decomposers, 0 animals, and insect diversity is 2 of 3. And then if you scroll through, it will show you what there is. So for instance, one thing grows in ponds, one in caves, so on and so forth. There are some missing icons here, so like one of the bugs here is missing an icon. But this gives you really important information when you're trying to like fix an island's diversity or ecology. Very, very handy. There's the stone sword. Stone sickle. Let's craft one of those. So a stone sickle I'm going to put on 4, and this allows you to harvest plants and grasses. And in this case, animals eat small plants tied up with rope, and then the seeds allow you to seed islands with plant diversity. So the sickle is really helpful. Oh, here's a decomposer. Mushrooms. And the different islands require different things. So some islands will require a lot of animals, some will require a lot of biodiversity, some a lot of trees, some nothing. Like this island. It didn't need anything. It's fine. Alright, let's continue with the patterns of what tools there are left to be made. Is my material inventory limitless? No. So for instance, like grass will stack up to 500. So there's a lot of room, but it's not forever. a stone door kit. So this thing is a hoe or a spear. Doubles as both. And I'm going to put this on 5, I guess. So aimed at the ground, it allows you to take turf. And it also is a digging tool. Where did I want to dig here? I wanted to dig right in there. So this was exactly the tool I wanted. I'm curious if there's anything here. Nope, there isn't. Sometimes you'll find, like, buried chests and the like. Do tools break? They don't, but they do get damaged in a different way, which is part of the upgrade system later on. Right, let's make a torch. I'm not going to craft hay. And we'll keep going through... I think, actually, all the materials that I have, I've learned the patterns available to me. Fantastic. So, let's try to find this last knowledge. Put down the map table. Maybe it's that island, which is a little bit further out, but it's one that I haven't explored. And that is this way. So, in terms of your tools can be sharpened and have, like, poisons applied to them and things like that, which will wear off over time. So the tool themselves won't break, but they'll wear down and need to be resharpened. Oh, this island definitely doesn't have an anchor, because it is tiny. I kind of like it. I'm, like, tempted to make this one my home because it's so small. It's, like, novel. Be a little challenging to farm, but, you know, who knows. Now, for the Fresco Island that I was exploring, I don't know if I've fully poked around its, like, cave systems. And part of the reason was, I didn't have a torch at the time. Let's see if I missed something down here. Now, these here are sculpted rocks. I don't need to collect them right now. They're more of a cosmetic thing. Oh, no, this was my starter island. Sorry. Yeah, there wouldn't be anything here. Alright, let's try the cluster to the south. They look pretty small, though. And then I was saying before, any of these patterns over here that you want, you can take. So if I switch back to the sketchbook, and I look at, like, most of this is debris, but here's another wooden chest. If I didn't already have the pattern, I could take it. Different bugs. Actually, most of this is just debris that I can't learn. Ooh, we did just pick up sugar, though. But here's an example, like a hanging lantern. Here's an actually important one, which is a stump seat. Sitting allows you to recover health at the cost of momentum. So if you look at the below my health bar on the bottom left, there's the white bar, which is momentum. And momentum is kind of like a currency for attack combos and stuff like that. And also, if you sit down, you spend your momentum to heal. So this little island has wheat and sugar beets. Has a little cave. But not what I'm looking for, so let's move on. I'll check the other two around me and then move back to the main cluster. I think the other two around me are just like micro islands. I'm actually curious, is this thing an island I can claim? Because if it is, this is where I want to live. Like, no joke. This is my little ideal, a floating pond. So if I wanted to mark down this floating pond for future use, I can grab the spyglass and just, like, click a waypoint here. As soon as I enter a new waypoint, it's gonna, change it, though. But let's see. Is this island... Yep. This is its own island. And this other one here is micro, so I'm not going to bother. So yeah, maybe we'll settle this eventually. So let's go back and look for the sailing knowledge that I've yet to find. And then once I have all the sailing knowledge, the game will update and will say, settle your first island, and we'll consider a bunch of different options. So that little pond island or, you know, some of the other islands we interact with. Can you chain them together? No, it's one island per claim. And you only can claim one at a time, but it is a multiplayer game, so if you have multiple people, that equation changes a little bit. Alright, so like that knowledge stone I've already got. And let's see, where have I not been? So this was the second Fresco Island. Getting some wheat. And I think the island I've marked here was the corrupted, ecologically damaged one. So we can go into the game mechanics to fix Oh no, it isn't. But adjacent ones are. Oh yep, there's the anchor. Perfect. Leaf square sail. So it's important to note, sails will have a fragility. The more, eventually you'll unlock stronger sails, which allows you to go to more dangerous areas. And then intake and flexibility. So intake is if you have a tailwind, how good is it? And flexibility is if you don't have a tailwind, how good is it? So the square sails are the best for tailwinds, but they're not flexible. So if you have a slight headwind or something like that, they're not great. So there's a bunch of different types of sails with different strengths and weaknesses that you can choose from. So the current priority now is build a home kite on my favorite movable island. So should I settle the micro pond or pick something larger? I'll have you guys choose. And one thing that is important to note is that the size of your island affects the performance of the island. So the heavier the island, the harder it is to move around, obviously. Because, you know, mass, I guess. Which is why I like the micro islands, but I could definitely pick something slightly larger if you want. Thank you for tuning in to Aloft, which originally streamed live on Twitch, January 17th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming stream. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you in next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, fellow survivors.